Hello and welcome to Spooky Stitches, the paranormal knitting podcast. My name is Sheena Peril. I'm an author and knitter from the Pacific Northwest, and I am your host. It has been a minute since we've had a regular podcast episode. I did a lot of other videos in the last month where we did some writing and some knitting and sewing, but it's really nice to just get back to having a cozy chat. If you haven't been following the community page, I did finally get a new temp job, so I am back to working 5 days a week. So the podcast is going back to a slightly irregular posting schedule just as I have time to produce videos. Don't worry, I still have lots of content planned. It's just going to be coming out a little bit slower than it was before. Probably every other Wednesday rather than every Wednesday, but if it takes a little bit longer, just be patient with me. I promise there's more to come. This episode is a little bit of a catch-up chat, so if you came specifically for the spooky story, you're out of luck this week. I just have not had time to hunt one down and record it. Along that same vein, I also don't have any finished objects this week. I was hoping to at least have a finished sock, but then I discovered that I couldn't count, and I failed to count not once but twice and ended up ripping out the whole thing. What I do have is a partial sock. This is made of Knit Pick Stroll Glimmer in the color Pomegranate and Lang Yarns Millicolore Baby Luxe, which is a fine merino superwash with some gold stellina in it. I'm not positive where this yarn came from. I have a vague recollection of purchasing it, but I don't remember from where. I can tell you this was a 50-gram ball and that the color number is 62. I got it mostly because these are not my color palette and I was trying to branch out a little bit. But that means that it has been sitting in my stash for I don't know how long while I tried to figure out something to do with it. It's also a singles yarn, which is why I'm using Stroll for the heels, toes, and cuffs, including the heel turn here just to make it a little bit sturdier. Even though this says that it is a baby yarn, I don't like the way that it feels on my skin, so these socks are actually going to a friend of mine who will appreciate the colors a little bit more than I do. It's my normal vanilla sock pattern, but with two changes. While my normal socks are 60 stitches on a size 1 needle, these are 64 stitches in order to fit the recipient better. Also, I got curious about fisherman's rib. So this cuff is actually fisherman's rib, and I love it. It is nice and squishy, and because it's all knit stitches, it doesn't have the irregularity that my purl stitches get when I'm doing 1x1 ribbing. I don't know what's causing it. I have tried every possible way that the internet has provided to correct that, and I can't fix it. So I think that this might be my new go-to for ribbing, even if it does take a little bit longer. One of the reasons why I cast these on, other than wanting a portable project and wanting to knit a sock, is because the same recipient is also getting the By Pride sweater, which is currently on hold again. I have the body completely done. It just needs sleeves, but I have to order more of the purple yarn in order to complete the sleeves. So this is on hold until that yarn comes in, and I have to wait to order it because I went 2 months without a job. So I need to get a couple of paychecks under my belt before I can really place any orders for yarn. The socks are a little bit of an apology because it has taken me so friggin' long to make that sweater. I have started it and ripped it out at least 4 times and got about a foot into it each time. So it's just taken a really long time. I like how it is at the moment, but it's also so frustrating that it's so close to be done and then to not be able to work on it. So here she is right now. She's got, the hood is on. I've done the ribbing around the front. This is in Caribou Bah. No, that's not the name of the yarn. The color is called Boysenberry and it's a wool bamboo, but I don't remember the brand name right now. Colors in Boysenberry, but the yarn is discontinued. And I got that in a swap or something years and years ago. This purple is Knit Picks Comfy Worsted in the color Amethyst Heather. And then the blue is Swish Worsted in, I'm sorry, the purple is Swish Worsted. This is Comfy Worsted and the color is Celestial. I have added pockets. They're not huge, but I did measure they should be large enough to hold a cell phone. So it's a lovely vest right now. On me, it's duster length because she's about 6 inches taller than me, I feel like. But yeah, this is where it is right now. I will take better pictures once it's done. It's just, I still need to make the sleeves. I could start on the sleeves with the pink, but I don't want to right now. I would rather just do them all in one go and not have yarn and needles sticking out all over the place. I would rather store it like this. And the By Pride hoodie does not have a pattern. It was vaguely based off of a pattern that I saw on the Knit Picks website, but that pattern involved like 12 colors of yarn and holding 6 strands at a time, and I was not about to do that. So it was also made for fingering weight, like the gauge was totally wrong, so I just kind of looked at the picture, like, okay, we need this shape, and this shape, this is how we do the pockets, and that was how I made it. So even more frustrating right now, that is not the only project I have on hold. I talk about this more on the first On Wednesdays We Wear Black episode, but I had to put my Wednesday vest in timeout because I didn't like the fabric. I need to order 2 new crochet hooks to try at a different gauge, but the long and short of it is I forgot that I don't like crocheted garments for the most part. So I'm trying to come up with some way of changing the gauge or maybe the stitch that will make it drape a little bit better and be more appealing to me, because why on earth would I spend hours making something that I'm not going to be happy with in the end and won't want to wear? All of the Wednesday sweaters I'm making are in Caron Simply Soft for budget reasons, and they're in black and off-white. I'm currently using a J hook. I tried an M hook, which is the next size up that I had in my stash, but that one just came out too sloppy and loose. So I'm waiting on an order to come in from Amazon that has a J and a K hook in it. And those should be here on Thursday, along with another US size 1 needle for those socks, because someone has wire cutters for teeth and keeps chomping through my needles. On the bright side, I did pick up a project that I temporarily set aside when I was working on the By Pride sweater. This is the Goth Flamingo sweater. It's back in the works. And this is another one where I have to order more yarn, but I haven't been able to. But thankfully, I'm just working on a different part of the sweater right now. I need more yarn for the body, at least 1, maybe 2 skeins. But I have plenty of yarn for the sleeves, so that is what I've been focusing on at the moment. I really love the way that this is coming together. I don't have a pattern as usual. It's just coming out of my head. The black yarn is Knit Picks Stroll Hand Paint in the color Red Wing Blackbird. And then this like hot coral color is Trey Liz When You Play the Game of Indie. And it is a fingering weight yarn, but it's a singles yarn, so I don't want to use it for socks. And I'm knitting this up on size 4 needles. I am absolutely in love with the sweater, and I can't wait until I can try it on properly. It's just got like a fishnet sleeve, and then the body is also open. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's going to open up more once I block it. And it's just going to be a really fun goth sort of fishnet sweater. Last but not least on the whip list, we have the Eleonora stockings. Unfortunately, these might be the next ones that go on hold. This is Knit Picks Luminance Lace in the color Passion. I'm knitting on size 000 needles. This is where I was the last time we chatted. This is also the start of the calf decreases. So this is the widest part of the calf. This is behind the knee, and then this goes up over the knee. Got a kind of lacy bit at the top. So I was further in this. I got all the way down to the ankle, and then realized that there was supposed to be a rest repeat with no decreases in between each repeat that had a decrease. So I'm like, that looks funny, wonder why. The stocking was 40 rows too short, so I had to rip all that out, which is where this marker came from. This time I've written down what repeat gets what treatment and where I'm placing the decreases, because they alternate sides. And for my own sanity, I've marked them as either an interior decrease, so my interior decreases are right here, my exterior decreases are right here, and then I check them off and date them once they're done. Unfortunately, like I said, this might be the next one that goes on hold because I have a shockingly small amount of yarn left. I've been holding it double, so this is 2 50-gram skeins. I think I have enough to finish the first stocking, but I'm not positive. I will need another ball to do the second sock. I do have another skein of this in waiting, but when I bought the yarn, I bought 3 skeins thinking it would be one for each stocking. Thinking it would be 1 skein for each stocking and then a third one in reserve in case I needed it. However, when I bought the yarn, I didn't realize that I would need to hold it double. So I'm going through yarn a lot faster than I thought I would. And I also discovered that the color was seasonal. It had been there for a long time. I thought it was one of their permanent colors, and it's not. It's been discontinued. So now I am scouring Ravelry for someone who will sell me 1 to 2 skeins of Knit Picks Luminance Lace in the color Passion. The silk stockings are stitch by stitch recreations of the artifacts in Palazzo PT. So if I'm only able to make 1 stocking, that's not a huge deal. Like, I will still have made my goal of recreating the stockings, at least one of them. And I know these aren't going to fit me anyway because they are a stitch by stitch reproduction, or as close as I can get from photos and research. I am going to make another pair in like regular fingering weight yarn and my size, but these are just, they're too small. They were made for a very specific person who's about 4 inches shorter than me and significantly thinner. So I know they're not going to fit. I could go on at length about this project, but it actually has its own website. So if you want to know more, check out the links in the description and you can find a whole website dedicated to it. I am currently resisting the urge to pick up other craft projects just because there is still so much up in the air right now, or at least it's going to be up soon. We don't know if we're moving or not. We're trying to find a place, but we're not having a whole lot of luck. And there's just been a lot of other stuff going on that I can't really get into here. Instead, I have been distracting myself with YouTube podcasts and the occasional Disney movie. I started watching A Small Light on Disney Plus. I wasn't sure about it in the first episode, but now I'm really enjoying it. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I've never liked The Diary of Anne Frank. I had to read it in middle school, and the diary itself is not a compelling story or enjoyable to read. Sorry, my allergies have been acting up. We're getting into cottonwood season, which is murder for me. Anyway, the diary itself is not like a compellingly written story. It is an important story. I'm not arguing that point, but it's not an enjoyable read. And the whole reason that diary is important is because she dies at the end. And the diary doesn't even cover her capture or her time in the concentration camp, which is what makes the story important. So, yes, it's a very important story. The text of the diary is not interesting. I'm just going to say it. And one of the reasons why I didn't like it, and one of the things that they do very well to depict in the show, is that she is kind of a selfish brat. I mean, she's 13, 14, she's a brat. And she's not a hero. And I think that still makes it a very important story to tell. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I like seeing that from a different perspective, and from the perspective of someone who is doing something. And I'm not saying that it's Anne's fault because she was 13 and stuck in an attic because that was the only way she could survive. But I think Meep's story is a lot more interesting. Anyway, that was a tangent. But I've just been listening to a lot of World War II stuff lately. For some reason, ever since 2016, I've been really into studying World War II. Can't imagine why. But in the vein of punching Nazis, I really wanted to watch The Sound of Music, but that has been removed from Disney Plus, so I watched Captain America instead. And Captain America is the best Marvel movie. I will not be taking questions. I haven't been gaming a whole lot or reading. I am still adjusting to the new work schedule, so I've been really short on spoons. It does mean that I've been watching a lot of vet shows on Disney Plus. I really like Dr. Oakley, and I recently started Vets on the Beach, which is set in Australia in different places around the continent. For some reason, I just find vet shows to be really comforting and heartwarming, particularly because most of the time their patients are able to walk away. There are a few episodes that are just heart-wrenching, but thankfully when they were editing and cutting the episodes for both Dr. Oakley and Vets on the Beach, they did a really good job of focusing on the more positive cases. And while they acknowledge the negative cases, they're not every single episode. And when I haven't been knitting or just staring blankly into space in the direction of YouTube, I have been working on edits for 2 different books. I talk more about this process in a video I'm going to link up here, but mostly I'm just trying to get 10,000 golden hearts and midnight radio off my plate for a while. That means filling in a few gaps in hearts and then smoothing things out in midnight radio, working on transitions and plot points, filling in a few gaps there. And once those are done, both of them are going to sit probably for the summer while I work on something else. I'll talk about that more later, probably in a dedicated writing video or a writing vlog. And honestly, I think that's it for me this week. I really just wanted to keep this episode kind of short, give you a little bit of an update on what's going on and what the schedule is going to be moving forward. And now that we've done that, I do have a little bit of news. So on to Knit Tea. On May 15th, XRX, the parent company responsible for the Stitches events, announced they're closing their doors for good. As someone who was really hoping to go to Stitches West, now that I'm on the West Coast, I can't tell you how disappointed I am by this. However, the pandemic, closures, subsequent economic troubles have hit all of us hard. That does mean that June's Stitches Expo at home is canceled, and I'm sure everyone involved now or registered has received an email about this by now. For teachers and vendors impacted by this closure, I know Knitty has some kind of special deal going on for advertising right now that might help you to recoup some of your losses if you're impacted by this. Be sure to check out their website for more info, and I will link it down below. I'm also going to link a new to me resource for finding upcoming events. The Knitters Review is a website I was only recently made aware of, but it lists events happening worldwide by date, and the list is even more extensive than the one I've been using on Ravelry. So if you're looking for an event to participate in or are unable to use Ravelry, please make sure to check out that link down below as well. And if you aren't already subscribed to the website, the June edition of Knitty should be coming out soon. They generally don't list a specific date, just as close to the start of the month as possible, and they're usually pretty good at sticking to that. So look for it the first week of June. Vogue Knitting Live's summer virtual event runs from June 9 to 11. Registration is open now. If you're not free the weekend of the 9th, all the Zoom classes and lectures will be available until June 25th on demand. And if you have news or events from the yarn world that you would like to share, please drop me a line. My contact information is in the description below. Just put down Knit Tea in the subject line. And thank you so much for joining me today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope you have something soft and cuddly to snuggle with that won't eat your needles. Ciao.